Today's Tanya, the 23rd of Menachem Av, is in Igeres HaKodesh, page 222. The number at the bottom of the page is 428. We are 4 lines from the bottom. The Rebbe is talking about how the divine light, which fills the world, the Memala Kol Almim, breaks down first into the parts of Torah, and then from Torah into the neshama of the Jew as he is here on earth, the human being, and then from the Jew into the world. And he's talking about the neshamas, how they break down into more than 613 parts of the neshama of Adam Harishon, but they break down into endless and countless parts, which are all the souls of all the Jews from the times of the Avos, from the patriarchs until after Mashiach comes. 4 lines from the bottom. It says that the beauty of Yaakov is similar to the beauty of Adam, that they have the same kind of a greatness, and that is the Adam Harishain, that is Shetikin, that Yaakov fixed and corrected Chet Adam Harishain, the sin of Adam. And his neshama too contained within itself all the souls, just as Adam's soul contained all the souls. Yaakov's neshama, Yaakov's soul, also contained the souls of all Jews for all time. And Yaakov was also the Merkava, a vehicle for Torah, as Torah is above, on a higher level than it is here on earth. And Yaakov was also the vehicle for the Torah as it is above, and the Torah as it is above is Nikra B'Shem Adam. Torah is described in the vision of Yecheskel, it is described as Adam. That on the throne that Yecheskel saw in his prophecy, he saw the form of man. And that's a reference to Torah. We also find the verse Zeis HaTorah Adam, talking about the laws of Tumah. So we see that Torah is called Adam, and we also find that the word Zeis, which is the beginning of the verse, Zeis HaTorah Adam, that the word Zeis appears in the pasuk that says, Zeis hi lefanim b'Yisrael, that this is what was originally in Israel, and the Rebbe explains that lefanim means inwardly, that this was inwardly in Israel, in every Jew, which means that Zeis, a reference to Torah, Torah is implanted within every Jew. So, why is Torah above called Adam? Because just as Adam is made up of 613 parts, 248 limbs, and 365 arteries, the same is true of Torah, that it has 613 mitzvahs, and they are divided into 248 positive mitzvahs and 365 negative mitzvahs. And also that this godliness, which is Torah above, clothes itself and expresses itself in the neshama as it is here below, as we were learning earlier. Now back to the text. And as it says, Zeis lefanim b'Yisrael, ein Zeis ala Torah. And the word Zeis is a reference to Torah, and it's described as lefanim b'Yisrael, inwardly invested in the Jew. It was invested and clothed in the neshama of Yisrael. Yisrael, our patriarch. Haklula mikol haneshames, and in his neshama. There were all other neshames. V'zehu vayikra lei kela lekei Yisrael. So now we'll understand the statement that he called God the God of Yisrael. because Keil is Lashon Hamshachas Ha'odem Ha'eren Sei Baruch Hu Me'ahelim El Hagili. If of all the names of God, each name represents a certain attribute, so the name Keil represents kindness. And kindness means revealing and bringing down from the higher place to the lower place. So Keil means, the name Keil is the bringing down of this godly light from its concealment into the revealed state. In order that it illuminate the neshama as it is here below. That God illuminates for us, and we use the name Keil. The Acharov, and after the neshama of Yaakov was illuminated with this level of godliness, and that's why it was called Keil, the revelation of godliness to Yaakov, to Yisro, to Yaakov, who was also called Yisro, because he was the vehicle and the chariot for Torah as it is above. It could be revealed in him, and from him it was revealed also to all souls. So Acharov, Kol Yishrei Leiv, after him, all those with pure heart, Ha'eskim b'Torah mitzvahs, who are devoted to the study of Torah and the performance of mitzvahs, Meir Eir Hashem Ein Sei Baruch Hu B'Bechinas Gili B'Nishmasa. Godliness is revealed in their neshama. And the Rebbe uses the expression Yishrei Leiv, should say all Jews, but the hint and the remez here is that the word Yisrael is made up of two words, Yoshar Keil, straight godliness, kindness. So every Jew who has a straight line to Keil, to this revelation of godliness, follows in the footsteps of Yaakov, in that in him too, in every neshama, there is the revelation of this godliness, of this ray of God that fills the world, and which begins in Torah and then comes down to the neshama. When do we feel this revelation? When do we experience it most strongly? This ray of godliness. When is it experienced most strongly in mind and heart? This happens in the time of davening, as is explained elsewhere, what the connection to the davening is. So we now understand why the statement, the praise of God, where we thank God, Ashreinu Matev Chalkeinu and Geir Aleinu, is said before the davening, or at the beginning of the davening. Because this revelation, this godliness that is revealed in Torah, and from Torah comes down into each neshama through Yaakov Avinu, this part of godliness is what we're referring to when we say Geir Aleinu, because the division, the specific godliness that is given to each specific neshama, as he will explain later, is given on a level of Geirel. It is deeper and higher than the rational Aveda that the person arrives at or is able to accomplish through his own seichel. Each one is given a shlichus. Each neshama has a mission that is deeper and higher than seichel, and that is the part of godliness that is called Geir Aleinu. And since we experience this godliness most strongly in the davening, that's why we say this tefillah as a preparation for the davening. So what we see so far is that the godliness that is called Memala Kol Almin, which comes through a tzimtzum, it is a restricted light and a finite light. It comes into the world through first expressing itself in Torah, from there into the neshama, and from the neshama to all the creations of Bri, Yitzir, and Asiyah. In the Hayom Yom for today, for the 23rd of the Rebbe writes that in the winter of Tov Reish Nun Beis, when my father, the Rebbe Rashab, studied with me the Sefer Tanya, the Frierdiker Rebbe at that time was 12 years old. where it says, "V'nefesh hashenis b'Yisrael ichelek elokam yimal mamash," that the second neshama, the second soul that a Jew has, is a literal part of God from above. So my father explained that the content, the meaning of the word mimal is diametrically the opposite of the word mamash. Mimal means from the highest levels above. Mamash means the most tangible and the lowest level. Mimal is a spiritual concept, and it is the most spiritual of the spiritual. The word mamash is a gashmizdika concept. Mamash means to feel with your hands, and it refers to the most physical of the physical, the sense of touch, which is more physical than the other senses. And then he explained that that's the greatness of the second soul, that is as godly and as spiritual as it is, it has an effect, and it brings an improvement in the most physical of the physical.